Hi, guys. Welcome to the third episode of Who You Say I Am. I apologize that we did not put out an episode last week on Friday. I think there was a lot going on in the country, and I'm not saying that as an excuse. But it's good to have you back. I'm glad to be back. I hope that we get to enjoy this third episode of this series of getting to know me, and hopefully, by me sharing my experiences, we can pick up some lessons. So let's dive right in. So we left it off at us moving to Kisumu in 2017 after we got married. Super, new couple, new city. And so we were excited because it was an adventure for us. I had not been to Kisumu before. My husband had stayed here for a couple of months working, and it was like I didn't mind getting away. Of course, there was the downside of being away from friends, far away from family, because our circle of friends and our community was majorly in Nairobi. So, new city meant figuring your way around things, creating new relationships, finding a new church. And so, yeah, it came with its own challenges, but I think we really kept an open mind to that. Like, we were willing to just come and venture, look, for rather to just interact and be in this space, Kisumu. Of course, it was there's something about a new place. It gives you new energy, excitement, like, what do you have to offer and all that. So we were really excited about coming to Kisumu. You remember I had mentioned that I had to resign from my job in Nairobi so that I joined my husband in Kisumu. I think for us from the get go, it was there's not gonna be any separation. So I was willing to make that sacrifice. It was worth it. I don't regret it to this day. So, so one of the challenges amongst the many I have already mentioned was now I had to come and find a job here. Looking for a job sometimes can be difficult and tough, and it can um, take and go on for months. Praise God for the guys who are able to get jobs immediately. And for me, my case was it didn't come immediately, and for some reason I did not mind that as well, because I got to enjoy my husband. You can imagine having to new city, new environment, and then you have a job, you have new marriage, you have a job, you have to wake up at 8 o'clock, go to work, come back. So for me, I took it as and I'm not saying that you quit your job so that you acclimatize to your marriage and all that. No, for me, it just happened by circumstances that I didn't have a job when we were newly married. And so I decided to look on the positive side of things and just allowing myself to kind of enjoy that moment, enjoy being, a new bride, a new wife. And it was amazing because I was there, I was fully present. I was giving my husband all the attention. I was able to cook dinner. We were able to hang out more. I wasn't tired. Then checks in, and praise God, like the job came, and because we prayed for it and it came, and we were really grateful for that, because again, always nice to have a second income in the home. So we got it was by referral, and so I get this job where now routines change, where I have to wake up in the morning, prepare myself, go to work, come back. And it was exciting, like it's a new experience, like it's something you've prayed for, and God answers your prayers, and you get a job, and you're able, to just put your energies and your hands into good use. And yeah, so yeah, it was an exciting, exciting news. Yeah, I got a job. Um, and so I start working, and like I mentioned, I had stayed home for about 7 months, 7 months without a job, and um, sometime in 2017, 2018 July, I get a job, and routines now have to change from being home, possibly the whole day, to waking up in the morning, going to work, and coming back. So that we really had to adjust to that new system of me going to work. And at first, it wasn't difficult. We managed well. I think the problems, or rather the challenges, started coming in when we realized very fast that the job is pretty demanding. Demanding here, I mean, early mornings, working until late, so long hours. And even during the day, there's a lot that has to be done in that work environment, like standing up, walking around. Like it was a lot, like it was demanding, both long hours and both in terms of energies and all that. And so, like a couple of months into the job, we started realizing that even our engagement in the marriage started changing. Like all of a sudden, I would come home, feel tired, like I don't even have the energy to have a conversation. I don't have the energy to, engage intimately with my husband, because I am already spread so thin. I have spoken so much during the day. I have no words left to say. I just want to sit down, eat, sleep, rest, repeat the next day. And so it started affecting our marriage. It almost felt as if I was giving all my energy during the day and at work, and sparing nothing for my husband. And he raised the flag um, as soon as he noticed that, guys, we are not the same. Like things have changed, like our relationship, our communication, our time together, time spent together. Like I used to be so irritable, so irritable. Like I just wanted my space. Like this time, it felt as if we were living single lives, and we are living in the same house, because like it felt as if the fun had been taken away from the marriage. All of a sudden, the cuddles are not there, because I just want to black out and sleep. Like I don't have time. I don't have energy for anything else. And so the job affected my marriage in that way, that I didn't have time for my husband, in like, to meet his needs. I think I managed to cook. I don't quite remember, but also my husband is pretty resourceful in the kitchen. Like he doesn't mind getting into the kitchen. So I don't think that was the problem really. I think it was just the time spent together and the quality, like of communication, engagement. Even if we sat down, we probably wouldn't engage meaningfully and all that. So yeah, that getting a job then affected my marriage and how that looked like. And that was like now a bit into the first year. So I think second year, third year, fourth year, thereabouts, up until we got our firstborn. Like there were a lot of challenges. Like those are different dynamics we had to kind of figure out. Like then you have a job, I have a job. My husband travels sometimes over the weekends. So you see, when I'm out of work, or rather when during the weekends I'm not at work. Well, it was mostly Saturday afternoon and Sundays. So I'm available over the weekends, and my husband is not available over the weekends, because of the nature of his work really demanded that he moves around and travels a lot over the weekend. And so you see, like, so many things just came into play, and we really had to figure out how do we ensure that our marriage stays vibrant, that we are still okay even as individuals, mentally, emotionally. And it was tough because remember, we are newly married in this thing, super, like we've never been married before. We had to think on our feet. Like even by the time we sat down and started problem solving and figuring out what's wrong, what changed, a lot had already happened. And emotionally, like we had already hurt each other emotionally, mentally, we were not also in the right headspace. So we really had to work hard to get out of that space and figure out what would be the new routines, what would be the non-negotiables, what systems would we put in place to make sure that our marriage still stays intact and is vibrant. It was not easy. For the longest time, I'm telling you the truth, it was not easy. Like that's a story for another day. I feel like if I get into details right now, I will kind of get out of topic. But the point I was trying to make is being newly married, new city, new dynamics, new workplace, new routines. It really took a toll on us, and for me, I think I struggle to strike the balance because I admit it would be unfair for me to give my all to other people and to my work and neglect my husband. It's not fair. Like he would constantly remind me, I'm about to say you're not doing enough, but I'm that type of person who would critique myself first before you critique me. So I usually know when I am not doing my best, and that kind of sometimes even weighs me down and can also lead to my husband in our many conversations during all these transitions. He would admit and even accuse me of giving my best self, or rather being different with other people and at home. Like the person people see out there is not the same person I am at home. And to some extent, it's true because, however, I'm not sure. Okay, let me not drift. But I am, if I don't check myself, I can be a workaholic. I can be a people pleaser. Like I would go out of my way for people. I would go out of my way, to perform well at work. I'm a perfectionist, so I would also want everything to go, in a certain way. And I would thrive in the workplace, but then because I have given all that and given all of me in that area, either, and in this case now my workplace, then I would give a raw deal to my husband. Again, it's my fault. I admit, like I just didn't handle that whole situation well, and I really struggled to strike a balance. I understand that probably my priorities were misplaced and that I should have drawn boundaries earlier on, but that wasn't the case. And or rather, it took long for me to get there where I draw the boundaries and decide that my family comes first, and all that. And so I think also the focus really shifted. So I didn't have time for my husband, but I also didn't have time for God, like literally. Oh, like I was always so exhausted, no time for myself, for my husband, for God. It was really tough. And you can imagine, if you don't have time for God, then it means that a lot of things around you might end up falling apart, or rather, you would think they're falling apart because you're not centered. Your focus has shifted from God, who kind of brings a balance and gives you strength and gives you grace. Like it felt as if I was doing everything by my own strength and my own wisdom and ability, and not really trusting God, or my focus was not on God. Like I didn't have him anywhere in my life. Like I didn't involve him, and so even my marriage kind of suffered because it was no longer really about God. It was about me succeeding, and especially in my corporate and in my 8 to 5 job. I didn't really care about every any other thing really. And so I think for me, that season really taught me how to set boundaries, um, remind me about, or rather taught me how to set my priorities right and not be afraid to say no. I think that was the greatest lesson I got from that season, just to say no. Those boundaries, like just create them. And always remember, if I had to choose between my boss and my husband, if my boss needed me and my husband needed me at the same time, like without flinching, without feeling guilty, I definitely should just choose my husband. So just setting those priorities right. I'm not sure about balance. I think there's a place of balance, but I think it's important for you to know your priorities so that when it's impossible to strike a balance at a given time, you know which side you would go or who you would choose or what you would do, depending on how you set your priorities. And just to be clear, your family needs to come first. You need to come first in terms of your emotional well-being and your mental well-being. And so I think for me, the lessons I'd want us to take away from this episode and that season of my life is you cannot do anything without the Lord. Or rather, even if you tried to do, your strength, you would easily get tired. And if you don't have a source from where you can be renewed, it will be tough for you. You will get tired emotionally, you will get tired physically without, and you won't have anywhere you would run to kind of replenish or to give you the strength or the grace to move on, to get up and to move on, And it's really important to just, another cliche statement, to just have God at the center. I wish I had carved out more time to spend with God. I am sure in my moments of prayer and reflection, I would have learned sooner that you're doing your marriage a disservice. I know that the Lord would have spoken to me, but because I did not create time for Him, it dragged out too long than it should have been. So always remember, whatever you do, even in your marriage, even the grace that you need to extend to your husband, even the ability to be humble enough to ask for forgiveness when you know that you're wrong. The Lord is the one who usually just calls us back and tells us, you're going the wrong direction. You're thinking wrongly. Your perspective is wrong, you know and just him directing you back to his word and reminding you that this is, your worth is not in your job. Like, yeah, you're excellent, like go all out and all that, but for the right reasons. What's your motive really? Do you want to just be known to be, like, is it just for you or is it to bring me glory? And so it's important for you to always have God at the center, and to always remind, just to keep him as your north, like to just direct you that, yeah, and to give you the grace and to give you the strength that you need for that season. Yeah, so I think for me that was my greatest lesson, that boundaries, prioritize, and always have the Lord directing you and replenish you and give you the grace and just give you wisdom for life and how to handle such challenges and difficult situations. I might put up another episode after this series on just getting into the details of that whole season, because there's a lot that I can share from that season, and more lessons that we can draw from that. But for today, I think I just needed to remind you that in all you do, in all you do, God, please do not put God on the side and try to do it on your own. Otherwise, share with me your struggles, anything that you, or a challenge that you're currently having if you're newly married, and hopefully we can grow and keep learning together. So see you on the next episode.